Whoa, look at that. It's now episode 3 of the 5-part series, The Polish Basics by me, Patrick. If you're watching this video, I'm under the assumption that you've already seen episode 1, which was speech and pronunciation, and episode 2, which was nouns and their cases. And similarly to the nouns, we're now going to look at adjectives and their cases, because adjectives describe nouns and they function similarly in Polish to the nouns. Now I'm going to keep this intro short and sweet, but I just hope you guys will watch the rest of the videos, or the other 2 that I have planned for you guys to make this 5-part series come full circle, with the eventual last video being sentence structure. And now to get right into it, again, thank you guys for wanting to watch this video, and let's get straight into adjectives and their cases. Now it's time to get into adjectives and their cases, and similar to nouns, the cases for adjectives are the exact same, but they do have different endings, which means you will have to learn different case changes and suffix changes, which means I made a new video for you guys. Now, as with the common nouns video, we're going to have a list of common adjectives. Up on the screen coming up now are the most used adjectives in the Polish language for native speakers, and in day by day, let's say small talk, for example. Now we have words like duży, mały, dobry, zły. We have all these words, but I do not ask you to memorize all of these words because most of you are beginners, and that would be an egregious ask, and it would be largely unfair because you haven't learned how to use most of these words. All I really ask is that you learn some of the colors over here, like biały, czarny, czerwony, and pomarańczowy. Maybe around 50% of the colors here, or just the primary colors of the rainbow, like red, orange, yellow, green, and blue, or purple and pink, and if you want. But I do not ask that you memorize all of these right away. You will have to learn them eventually, just not at the moment. Similar to the nouns, we're getting into the base form of the adjectives, which again is mianownik, or the nominative case. And we learned all of these cases in the video before, so I'm not going to be going in depth or giving definitions of these cases, because if you watch the second video, you should already have them fairly. You should have a basic understanding of what each case does. Now, adjectives again have ending changes depending on if it's male, female, neuter, as well as if it's singular or plural. They're exact same as nouns, but because they're adjectives, you get separate endings. If an adjective is a female, if an adjective correlates to a female noun, the ending will be under a and ia. If it correlates to a masculine noun, it will be I and e. If it correlates to a neuter noun, it will be e or ie or yeah. I'll do some examples. Długa sukienka, a long dress. Again, because sukienka is a feminine noun, we take długi and change it to długa, because it has to match with the noun. Gorąca woda, same thing. Woda is a feminine noun, but instead of gorący, we have gorąca because it is a female noun. We have to match it up. Zły kot, exact same thing. Now it's masculine. Kot is a masculine noun, so instead of zła, we have zły. Dobre jedzenie, good food. Same thing applies, just for the neuter. Jedzenie is a neutral noun, and we change it from dobry to dobre. Dobre jedzenie, good food. The exact same thing applies to the plurals of the mianownik. For masculine plurals, the adjectives will end in I or Y. For everything else, basically, non-masculine nouns and the masculine impersonal, we will have E to IE endings for the adjectives. Now let's use some examples. Dobrzy lekarze, good doctors. Now, why did we change it to the Y? Because it is a masculine personal noun. A doctor is a human being, right? So it cannot be anything except a personal noun, because a doctor is personal to us. That's how I like to think about it. But we have dobrzy lekarze, good doctors, and dobry turns into dobrzy. Again, ending at the Y. Białe domy, white houses. Now, again, dom is already in the mianownik plural. That does not change. Now we have białe. Because dom is a masculine impersonal noun, because it is a thing, not a person, we have to change białe to białe, so we have białe domy. Ważne kobiety, important women. Same thing. Kobieta is a feminine noun. In the plural, it's kobiety, and so we have to apply the adjective rules. So because it's a non-masculine word, we change ważne to ważne, creating ważne kobiety, again, important women. And finally, głębokie morze, deep rivers or deep seas. Morze is the plural of morze, so again, that does not change. And we have głębokie. Instead of głęboko, we have głębokie. Again, because morze is a non-masculine noun, because it is a neuter noun, and so we have to match the adjective to the noun. So we change it from głęboko to głębokie, having that IE ending. Next case, dopełniać. If you remember what dopełniać means, it means to, very quickly, to summarize, to fill in. It's the apostrophe S, just in Polish. And let's go through the endings for the adjectives. If the noun that we are referring to is a feminine noun, it ends at A or EA, EJ or IEJ. If the noun that we're adding the adjective to is masculine or neuter, it ends in ego or jego. That's very simple. Now let's look at some examples. Dzieci mądrej mamy, the children of the smart mother. Dzieci, now mianownik does not change. Mamy, it's already in the genitive, so we keep it as it is. And now we have mądre, which is the adjective that we have to now put into the genitive case. Mądra would be the mianownik, but because we're in the genitive and mama is a feminine noun, we change it from mądra to mądre. Drzwi białego budynku, the doors of the white building. Same thing. Now we have to match it up with the noun. Budynek, and its mianownik is a masculine noun. So now we have to take biały and match it up to the masculine budynek. And because we're in the genitive, we change biały to białego, having drzwi białego budynka. Drzwi białego budynku. I'm not all there today. I apologize, guys. Next one, kot małego dziecka. Same thing applies. Dziecko is a neuter noun. Dziecka is the genitive of dziecko, so we keep that as it is. We don't touch it now. Małego is the genitive form of mały, because we have to match it up once again to the gender of the noun. And because dziecko is a neuter noun, we must add the ending ego. So we have małego, the cat of the small child. For the plural, once again, it's the exact same thing. But to make it a lot easier for you guys, the genitive only has one ending for every gender. So we would have ich, YCH for all the adjectives in the plural, dopełniać. Let's look at some quick examples of how this works. Numer białych telefonów, the number of the white phones, or the white phone's number. Telefon is a masculine noun. Biały is an adjective. We match it up to the gender, but because they all are the same, we change it to białych telefonów. Kolor fajnych kwiatów, the color of the nice flowers. Exact same thing. Even though kwiat is also a masculine noun, again, ich, fajnych. So instead of fajne, we would have fajnych, because again, all genders of adjectives in the dopełniać, in the plural, take that YCH ending. Smak silnych wina. Smak silnych wina. The taste of the strong wines. Vino is a neuter noun. And the genitive, it is wina. So again, we do not touch it. Silny, it would be the mianownik form of silnych. And again, we must apply adjective rules and match the adjective to the noun. And again, in the plural of genitive, all adjectives take that same ending, so we have, instead of silny, we have silnych wina. So smak silnych wina. Finally, dzieci pięknych kobiet. The children of the beautiful women, basically. The children of the beautiful women. Same thing applies. Kobiet is the genitive plural of kobieta, which is a feminine noun. Pięknych is the genitive plural of piękny. So again, we have to apply that adjective rules. Kobieta is feminine. We have piękny. It changes to pięknych. Because again, all of them take the same ending. Now let's get into the accusative case. Now, for the endings of the accusative, if the ending is a female or feminine, rather, the exact same things apply. We have an a or an ion as an ending. A or ion. If the verb is masculine, if the noun is masculine and animate, it ends in ego and yego. The masculine inanimate ends in I or e. And if it's neuter, it ends in e. And again, these are all for the adjectives that we have to match up to the noun's gender. Now, if you remember from the last video, biernik is the only case that defines in its singular masculine animate and masculine inanimate. And what that basically means is something that's living and something that's not. Very simple. Example. Pije zimną wodę. He's drinking, or he or she drinks cold water. Woda. In the accusative, woda, water, is a feminine noun. In the accusative, we have wodę. So we have to match up zimna to the accusative female. So instead of zimna, we have zimną. Zimną. Widzę małego psa. Widzę małego psa. I see a small dog. Psa is the accusative form of pies, so we don't touch it. But pies is a masculine animate noun because a dog is a living thing. So we add the ego or iego ending to the adjective. So instead of mały, we have małego. Znalazłem stary telefon. I found an old phone. Telefon, masculine inanimate noun because it is not a thing. Stary. Again, we have to connect the adjective to the gender of the noun. And because telefon is a masculine noun and it is inanimate, we must give the adjective the either e or e ending. And for stary, it stays the same as stary telefon. Finally, for the neuter, jem dobre jedzenie. I'm eating good food. Jedzenie in the biernik is the same in the biernik. So that is a neuter noun. So we have to apply adjective rules because we have to link the two. So because this is neuter, we have dobre changes to dobre. Jem dobre jedzenie. Now let's get into the plurals. If the the noun is the masculine personal in the plural, we use the ich as we saw before. If we live for literally anything else, it is the e to ye endings. This is the shorthand for masculine impersonal and non-masculine nouns in the accusative plural. And this is how I'm going to basically format it for the rest of the video. So everything else also includes impersonal masculine nouns as well as non-masculine nouns, meaning feminine and neuter nouns. And all of that, in all of those cases, the adjectives would take the e to ie in the biernik. So let's look at examples. Widziałem starych lekarzy. I saw some old doctors. Lekarz, masculine. Is a doctor a personal noun? Yes, because a doctor is personal to us. Lekarze is now the plural in the biernik. So now we have to apply the same rules. A plural biernik form of stary, which would be the adjective here, old. And because lekarz is a masculine personal, we add the masculine personal ending to stary, creating starych. Widziałem starych lekarzy. Używam czarne telefony. I'm using black phones. Telefony. The masculine impersonal, right? Because a phone is not a living thing. So we have telefon, telefony, which is the plural. So again, we apply that plural biernik ending of a masculine impersonal, which would be czarne, because we're adding that e. Używam czarne telefony. Kupuję długie sukienki. I'm buying long dresses. Same thing. Sukienka by itself is a feminine noun. In the biernik plural, it is sukienki. So now we have to apply that same logic to the adjective. A feminine biernik plural ending for długi. So we add that IE or that E, so we get, and finally, zamknąłem duże okno. I closed a big window. Okno, a neuter noun. A neuter noun, so we now must apply that logic to the adjective. Because we're in the biernik, we add E or IE, so we get zamknąłem duże okno. I closed a big window. Celownik. We're not going to talk about it because if you remember from the last video, we looked at chi, mi, or chi, mi, mu, te, ye, im. We looked at all of those words, and you can't really give an adjective to those words. And most of the time when we're talking about celownik, you would use an adjective with names, and that rarely happens. So for beginners, I don't think it's necessary for you guys to learn that just yet. If you would like to learn that in your own time, be my guest. That would be amazing. But for the purposes of this video, we're not really going to talk about it. And on to the next case, we have naziemnik, or the instrumental case. Now let's look at the endings for the adjective that would apply. For singular endings. In the female, the exact same thing, a or yo. In the masculine or neuter, it changes to im or. So let's look at some examples. Rozmawiałam z tą mądrą kobietą. I was talking with that smart woman. Kobieta is the noun that is being affected by the adjective. Kobieta in the naziemnik is kobieto. So we have to apply that same logic to the adjective. So it cannot be mądry, because kobieta is not a masculine noun. Or it cannot be mądrym. Doesn't work. So because the noun is feminine, the ending of the adjective must also take the feminine. So we would have mądrą kobietą, which we have right here. That should be an O. I haven't noticed that yet, but that should be an O right here, like this. Pisałem białym długopisem. I was writing with a white pen. Długopis, masculine. It's in the naziemnik. So we have długopisem. That is left alone now because we've taken the case of the noun. But we now have to do the same with the adjective. Again, długopis is a masculine, so we apply the masculine naziemnik ending to the adjective, taking im or im, and in this case, it would be białym długopisem. Pisałem białym długopisem. Leciałem długim samolotem. I flew a long plane. That's basically what that means. Or I flew on a long plane. Samolot, masculine. Długi has to take that masculine because samolot is masculine. So again, naziemnik, masculine, im or im. For długi, it would be długim samolotem. Leciałem długim samolotem. Now let's look at the plurals. For every gender in the plural, it will either be imi or imi. The adjectives will end in one of those two. So now look at some quick examples. Nauczyłem się dużymi książkami. Nauczyłem się dużymi książkami. I taught myself by big books. I taught myself using big books, basically. That's what that means. Książkami. It's the plural naziemnik of książka. And if you know książka, we know that that noun is feminine. So now we must take the naziemnik feminine plural ending of dużymi, of duże. I already basically gave it away. But again, because the ending for every gender is imi or imi, we add that to duże, creating dużymi. Latali długimi samolotami. They flew long planes. It's the exact same thing as like over here. And the same thing applies. Samolot is masculine, so we take the masculine plural ending of and apply it to długi, and because every gender is the same, we get długimi right here. Jechali dobrymi samochodami. They drove with good cars, basically. They drove with good cars. Samochód, masculine. Samochodami, also masculine, but it's in the plural naziemnik. So again, we apply the same logic to the adjective, giving it the ending dobrymi, because again, every gender follows the same thing. So jechali dobrymi samochodami. Now we're going into the miejscownik. And I'm pretty sure this is the last one, but let's go into the singular endings. For the female or the feminine, it would end in a or ye. And for the masculine neuter adjectives, we would have im or im. Let's see how this would apply. Jestem w głębokim basenu. I'm in a deep pool. Basen is the noun that's being affected by miejscownik, basenu. That does not change because we've already changed it. I'll get to that in a moment. Jestem w głębokim basenu. Again, we're adding that ending, which would be in the masculine im, because basen is masculine. So we get the masculine ending for głęboki, which would be głębokim. This was a misclick. I didn't mean to do that, but you got to see it anyway. So maybe you figured it out. Maybe you figured out why we added the e to gorącej. But let's read the full sentence. Jestem na gorącej plaży. I'm on a hot beach, basically. Relating to hot sand, but yeah, I'm on a hot beach. Plaża, feminine noun. In the miejscownik, it is plaży. Now we apply that same logic to the adjective, giving it the feminine ending in the miejscownik. So we have gorącej. Siedzę w dużym budynku. I'm sitting in a large building. Budynek, as we've seen many times before, is a masculine noun. In the miejscownik, it is budynku. So we apply that same masculine miejscownik logic to the adjective. So instead of duży, we would swap the suffix for dużym. As we see here, dużym or dużim, but in this case it would be dużym. Siedzę w dużym budynku. Now let's look at the plural endings. And similarly to a lot of the other cases, every single gender in the plural is uniform in its adjective suffix. So every adjective in the miejscownik plural will have the ending ich or ich. Let's look at some examples. Są w głębokich basenach. I'm going to basically say the plurals of these and put them here. Są w głębokich basenach. They are in some deep pools. Doesn't make sense logically, but it's an example nonetheless. Basenach is the plural miejscownik of basen, which again we've already established is a feminine noun. Now we're going to take głęboki as deep. And now we're going to add one of the plural endings for any of all the genders, so we get głębokich. Są w głębokich basenach. Jesteście na gorących plażach. Again, you are on some hot beaches. Same thing. Plaża, as we said, is a feminine noun. So we take that ending of all the genders and we get gorących. So jesteście na gorących plażach. Siedzicie w dużych budynkach. Budynek is masculine, we've already established. And dużych has to take the ending of the masculine in the miejscownik plural. So instead of duży, we would have dużych. Siedzicie w dużych budynkach. And with that, that is the end of all the cases and how they relate to, and how these adjectives relate to the nouns. Nice job, guys. And thank you so much for getting to the end of episode 3. And I really hope you guys will stay tuned to watch episodes 4 and episode 5, because I've put as much effort as I can into all of these videos, and I try to make them as high quality as I possibly can. Obviously, I am no video editor. I am no true YouTuber, but I try to do my best for you guys to try to help you guys learn Polish as effectively as possible. Again, thank you for watching this video, and I hope you guys took some well-meaning notes, or at least got, again, maybe 50% of the information that came out of my mouth during the entire rambling that came just before. Because if only you got 50% of the information that I talked about, that's still a lot. And that's still a lot more than a lot of people already know. So once more, thank you guys, and I hope to see you watching episode 4.